Hello, my name is Estela Flores, and I'll be introducing two topics which are the temperance movement and the child labor. And then after that, I'll be giving several arguments that contribute to the topics. So let's begin. First, the temperance movement as well. The temperance movement is a social movement against the consumption of alcohol and beverages. Basically, the temperance movement was criticized because of the alcohol consumption, which caused family violence, crime, etc. And alcohol was called the demon's rum because of all the violence and the family violence and crimes and etc. I'll be reading two documents. One has a picture, and I'd like to share with you because this is the saloon where they sell alcohol beverages, and then in order for them to sell, they need a license. And you can see that they're building the building, but when they're building, each brick has a word in them, and it says wreck lives, dishonored names, ruined fortunes, lost reputation, etc., etc. But these are all examples that alcohol affected on them, right? So let's begin on reading the document. He has occasioned more than 3/4 of the pauperism, 3/4 of the crime, and more than 1/2 of the insanity of the community, and thereby filled our prisons and almshouses and lunatic asylums, and erected the gibbet before our eyes. So technically, this is just giving you an example of all the bad things that alcohol influenced and how they influenced the guys, right? And I'll be reading you another one, which says, when 4/4 of the most represented men in America are pronounced unfit for war, what shall we say of their fitness to father the next generation? Well, very good question. I mean, what should we say to the fitness to the father of the next generation? Is saying that men are consuming all this alcohol and they're not unfit for the next generation. Who's gonna do that? The next time was when alcohol was received as a benefit to the race, but we no longer upon alcohol as food but as a poison, saying that alcohol isn't a food. It's more of a poison to them. It's something that they desire, but it just makes them rotten. You get me? It makes them rotten by making them do things that they're not supposed to do. Boards of health armed with the police power of the state, erased the causes of typhoons and the victims, but alcohol 1,000 times more destructive to public health. It's saying that alcohol is a very bad influence and it can destroy many qualities of a person. Excuse me. Continues to destroy. Alcoholic deterioration is most important sanitary question before the country, and yet the health authorities do not take action. As alcohol is entered in politics, leaders in politics dare not to act, as their political destiny lies in the hands of the agents of the liquor traffic. We are face to face with the greatest crisis in our country's history. The alcohol question must be settled within the next 10 years of some more virtual race, while right the empathy of their country, saying that that alcohol is a very big problem, but yet they're not doing anything about it until now. The temperance movement is doing something, the prohibition. So that was a little bit about the temperance movement. Now to get with the child labor. Well, what is child labor? Well, child labor is any work that deprives children from their childhood and interferes children to attend regular school, and that is mentally, physically, socially, or morally dangerous and harmful to the children. So technically, child labor is when a kid is being put into work at a young age, harming themselves in ways that are very dangerous for a child. I mean, they are sleep deprived. They lose their childhood because they are working. They can lose a limb. They can lose something that is very important to them because of these machineries that they work as. They're not even paid minimum wage. They're paid very less than an adult is being paid. They're being paid like 10 cents or less. So I'm gonna read you 10 documents about it, and then I'll explain. This one's about it's found in an autobiography of Mother Jones. Little girls and boys, barefooted, walk up and down between the endless rows of spindles, reaching thin little hands into the machinery to repair snap threads. I mean, right there they can lose a limb or a hand. They crawl under machinery to oil it. They replace spindles all day long, night through. Tiny babies of 6-year-old with faces of 60 did an 8-hour shift for 10 cents a day. If they fell asleep, cold water was dashed in their faces, and their voice of the manager yells above the careless racket with weary of the machinery. Toddling champs of 4-year-old were brought to the mills to help the older sister or brother of 10-year-old, but their labor was not paid. It's saying that these brothers and sisters that have little brothers and sisters like 4 years old or something just came over there just to help them out but not being paid. How cruel is that? The machines built in North were built low for the hands of the little children. At 5:30 in the morning, long lines of little gray children came out of the early dawns into the factory, into the maddening noise, into the lint-filled rooms. Outside, the birds sang and the blind shine shone. This sentence right here, the outside the birds sang and the blue shine shone, is typically saying that it's such a nice day outside, yet they're inside working in a machinery. I mean, they could have been playing outside, touch, whatever they wanted to do. But instead, they're trapped working in these heavy machineries that I don't even do. At lunch, half an hour, the children would fall asleep over their lunch cornbread and fat pork. They would lie on the bare floor and sleep. Sleep was their recreation, their release, as play is to the free child. This sentence right here where it says sleep was their recreation, their release as play into the free child. It's saying that when they're asleep, they're free. They can do whatever they want. They can dream that they're outside playing and everything. But yet, when they wake up, they have to wake up to that miserable life working in a machinery. Let me continue. The boss would come along and shake them awake. After the lunch period, the hour in grin, the careless running up and down between the whirling spins, babies, tiny children. Basically, this whole paragraph was talking about how children are being treated. I mean, look at this. This is sad. I mean, a 4-year-old being forced to help their brother and sister of 10 years old with heavy machinery, and they're not even getting paid for it. I mean, they're losing sleep just to do work. They're not even getting paid as much as their parents are. Hopefully they had parents, right? They're not even getting their childhood that they deserve. I mean, they can be getting hurt here in these big machineries. I mean, if I scratched my knee by playing, I mean, I'm gonna have a memory that, oh my god, I scratched my knee on the floor because I was playing volleyball, or I was playing so on and so on, right? But these little kids are just gonna be, oh, I had the scar because this heavy machinery sliced me. Hello? That's not cool. I'll be reading another one. While states began to pass laws that worked, Mother Joan dreamt of national children labor laws remained just a dream. Even if the children had managed to see President Roosevelt, it is doubtful that any federal laws would have been passed in 1906. A federal child labor ban was defeated in Congress. Echoing Roosevelt, many of the bill's opponents said that disliked child labor, but they have believed only states had the authority to make laws against it. In 1916, a bill was passed, but the Supreme Court ruled that the law was unconstitutional. The first successful national law was not passed until 1938, about 35 years after the March of the Milk Children. It's sad. They didn't even pass the law until 1938. I mean, those poor children were working their hands off for nothing. I mean, they didn't have childhood, they didn't have an education because they were busy working. They didn't have enough sleep. In the long run, imagine what these children would look like. I think this is wrong. I mean, I believe that our children should be outside playing, should be enjoying their childhood instead of being inside trapped working on machinery or working at a whatever you want to say. I mean, take it from me. My mom worked at a very young age. She didn't even go to grade school. She was always working all the time. She was taking care of her brothers. She was working in the fields. She didn't have a childhood to say, oh, I did this or I did that. She didn't. All I remember her saying is that I was working, helping out my dad. My dad didn't let me go to school. That is something that, wow, it strikes you because imagine how it was back then. These poor innocent little kids didn't even have a childhood. Yet, it's not going on today, so I'm glad. But back then, it's sad that these kids didn't have that. I mean, look at it at the long run. My mother has a lot of issues, like back problems, leg problems, etc., like her knee and everything. Imagine how these little kids would have been. Would they be alive? What kind of illness would they have made or whatever? What would they look like? Would they be limping with all these sort of illnesses or health issues that they would have had because of that, because of the machinery, because of the labor that they did? It's gonna affect them in the long run. Just like alcohol, it affects you in the long run because it makes you. I have never drunk in alcohol, so I have no experience, but from what I see, it really makes you drunk. It makes you do crazy things. It makes you get angry sometimes. It makes you do things that you don't want to do. It's crazy how alcohol can have a very big effect on you and can make you hypnotized to do whatever you don't want to do. So technically, it's bad. Both of them were bad. So, I mean, that concludes my vlog about the temperance movement and the child labor. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.